A world without a woman will be a world without life. Hi everyone and welcome to our live event. As you already know, it's Women's History Month and we couldn't end this month without the panel discussion. To do so, I will be your host tonight. My name is Bieneme Iwendo. I won't be alone. I have some amazing guests that I'm excited and I can't wait to present to you guys. So we'll have everyone introduce themselves and I will introduce the team of tonight. All right? Okay, can we start with ladies first? Yes.
Hello, this is Mama Flora. Some people call me Mama Flora. You can call me Auntie Flora or you can call me Sister Flora, whatever rhymes with you. And I am working as a minister right now with my husband. We have a ministry and we focus more on couples. Walking them toward the path of marriage and counseling. So also ministry when it comes to bringing the word of God. And other than that, I'm also a mentor to young girls and ladies. And also I have a bachelor degree in political science. And yeah, and currently I'm working for the King County Library as a welcoming ambassador where we just take care of refugees and immigrants in Washington State.
Oh wow.
So, hello everyone, my name is Marita Bolia. I'm a student in engineering and I will say that I'm young, yes, but I occupied several leadership roles within my years in the college. So I've been the secretary of BSU and right now I'm working as the a student engagement leader and I also mentor for the NYS organization. So I'm still learning, but I'm so grateful to be here and to share with you guys.
Thank you so much, Marita. My name is Aizada. I'm an international student from Kyrgyzstan, and uh, I major in business at Bellevue College. And I also hold several leadership positions in student organizations, such as I'm a president of Model UN Club at Bellevue College, and also co-president of Central Asian Students Association, and also Speech and Debate Club. And especially Model UN Club holds special place in my heart because that's where I met so many amazing girls that I know here, such as Daniela, Stephanie, and many others. I'm excited to share ideas today.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris Payne. I would like to be called Chris, whichever you guys prefer. And I am a Bellevue College alumni. I recently graduated with my bachelor's degree in data analytics. And yeah, other than that, I've been just doing life, the struggle of life and just experiencing many stuff and also experiencing the women's struggle and everything that is into it. But I'm here, glad to be here and be ready to share my experience. Yes.
Hello, thank you for having me. And Auntie Flora, before I start, I just wanted to say that the King County Library is my castle. So yeah, I go there all the time. So actually it feels refreshing to see that you are here, and you kind of remind me of the place I like to spend a lot of my free time with. And now, onto myself. My name is Isaac Mambu. I abide by the African philosophy of Ubuntu, which is we can be translated into I am because you are, or I am because we are. That informed my servant community. By that same worldview, I'm here tonight to share with the people that enable me to be, because I am because we all are.
So I told you guys I have amazing guests tonight, our panelists. Is there anyone who remembers the theme of tonight? The theme. Do you guys know the theme? Why we are here
You mean
tonight?
the theme?
All right, okay. It's true that we were talking about women's rights, but our theme is Beyond Borders, Women's Struggles and Triumph around the world. All right, that's why we're here tonight. I would like to start off with a quick question. Is there a reason why you accepted this invitation? Is there a particular reason that when you received the invitation you said, no, I have to be there? Anyone? This is a free question.
They say ladies first.
Okay. So one of our ladies.
I'll start. Well, to me, it's an opportunity to speak to young ladies. Like I said, I am used to mentoring young ladies and young girls. So I just wanted to reach out again through this team that we are sharing today, and it was just important for me. And it was just something that's always in my heart to speak to young ladies, and this is a perfect time.
Amazing. Anyone else want to add something?
I decided to come here because it's one of my first experiences, and I was very honored to be invited here. And also, I'm very passionate about women's rights because it speaks personally to me. And in Model UN Club, we discuss it very widely. So that's why I thought that not only to share ideas, but also learn from many other people as well to have this important discussion.
Thank you so much. Yeah, please go ahead.
I think that's just after Aiza that shared. I would say that also I'm here, for self-development to actually learn from people as well as share. And what really inspired me to come is that as a woman, I am a woman, but also as a woman to be, we always need to actually be present, for a change to happen. So yes.
Thank you so much. Any of our men?
I'm here because the theme was very appealing to me, and I also remember figures in the civil rights movement in America, the 1960s. So 1960s, Southern America. Somebody said, I'm not sure who exactly, I can't remember, but I believe somebody said that women's rights are human rights. And given that we're all humans, why shouldn't we get together?
Amazing.
As most of you guys said, just it's an opportunity for us to be here. We are all around women, and I have sisters, so learning about it and then being in the set to learn from it, and it's just a blessing and an opportunity for me as a man to learn about you guys.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. Thank you for answering. We'll go through a quick icebreaker. It's a game. All right. So get ready. The public is welcome to participate as well. I would just ask a few questions. The question will be who said, and I would say the quote. And any of you guys who feel confident enough to respond, we'll go ahead. All right? Thank you. I'll start with the first one. There is no limit to what we as women can accomplish. Yes.
I think it's Michelle Obama.
That's correct. That's correct. Please, marketing team, I would love you to add. That was nice. That was nice. Please remember, we have few gifts for our panelists. So, it's. I wish most of you guys will be able to get those answers and get the prizes. Second one. All right. I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept.
It's popular on social media, but
Do you have a name? I can give you some suggestion. We have Angela Davis, Audre Lorde, Maya Angelou.
it's Angela Davis.
That's correct. Oh, where are the applause? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. All right. Third one. A strong woman looks a challenge in the eye of and gives in a wink, and gives it a wink. Sorry. A strong woman looks at a challenge in the eye and gives it a wink. We have Sheryl Sandberg, Gina Carey, Serena Williams. Pom, 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 pom. Hey.
Serena Williams?
No, sir.
Oh, my bad.
No, sir.
It's alright.
At least you tried.
Yes.
Anyone? Come on. I gave you options, guys.
Shirley.
We have Sheryl Sandberg, Gina Carey, and Serena Williams.
Second option.
Second option, that's correct. It's Gina Carey. Okay, we'll go for a last one. Please, please. I would love Maman Flora to get this one. Please. All right, we have human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights. Actually, you said it earlier. So do you know who wrote it? For this one, I won't give the options. Come on, guys. It's H. Dun da da dun. Dun da da dun. Come on. Okay, I'll give the option. We have Hillary Clinton, Ruth Bader, Malala Yousafzai.
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton. Oh, that was great. That was great. Should I give a last one? You guys are good.
Me.
Please, a last one.
Yeah,
Please,
let's go.
please. Let me choose between them. Maybe names that are popular. All right. Women belong in all places where decisions are being made. Kamala Harris, Ruth Bader, Madeleine Albright.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
That's correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's dive into our question of the day. All right. The first question is, how have you seen the evolution of women's rights in different parts of the world over the years? Maman Flora.
Okay. All right. So just to, when you look at everything from where we started from in the back in the centuries, long time ago, how women were portrayed. Women, if you look back at we want to be empowered. We wanted also to speak our mind, our thought, our idea. I think women were just tired of being the afterthought, because we lived in a society where men are the one. It was designed, of course, by God, because I'm a Christian, I'm a minister. I believe it was designed by God, but then He gave it to men. And with everything that happened, if we go to the history of the Bible or how the world just became, it was all revolving around men. When I'm talking about men, I'm not talking about humankind, human beings in general. I'm talking about men, the male gender. So it was all designed around male gender to benefit them, and women were often forgotten. They were often put back. They were in the kitchen, they were raising kids, which is not wrong. But the way they couldn't speak, if like some decision were made was wrong, they couldn't speak. So I think it just took a group of women who were like, who said, no, enough is enough. We just want to have a place also. We are human beings. We just also want to have rights. And now we see all those movements that started, all those women rights movement that started to give women a voice to vote, the right to vote, the right to for equal pay, to equal work, the right to not be discriminated. I'm pregnant, and they give the position to a man because I'm pregnant. They think I cannot do the work. So all these took centuries. It took effort. Like in the 1900s, that's where we saw these big movement of women getting together and to speak out against the unfairness that was going on. So you look into continent, different continent. It's I believe, if I'm not wrong, it started in the U.S. Women started to voice out, and then it just spread throughout in America, in Asia, in Europe, in Africa. You see women rising up to demand also a place, and I don't think that that's wrong. And they may say what they may say, or what happened along the way if women have lost the track, whatever they can say, but the purpose was to give a woman a voice, the right, to recognize the right. And that's something that we can really applaud. When I look back to those women, who some of them lost their lives, some of them put their family aside just to focus, so that us today we can be sitting here and speaking. So, and that's how I look at the history, how it's evolving. Today, again, there's still, we haven't really gotten everything together, but there are still things that we need to address. But at least in the western part, we can say that women have rights. Compared to other continents or other places, we can say that women have rights, and we thank God for that.
And speaking
Thank
of,
you so much.
sorry
Yes.
to interrupt. Speaking of the Western Hemisphere, actually it was in 1974, if I'm not mistaken, that the United States passed a law that women were allowed to have credit cards without a cosigner. So it's been 50 years, 51 years. So I believe in that, there should be mutual understanding that women have been their own people for just 50 years, while men forever. And to get to the level of uh, at least affluence, because now we're speaking of equality, I'd say that in the United States, everybody has a fair shot, depending on not accounting for specifics. I would say that most people have a fair shot at life, but given that we've only been teammates for 15 years, I believe there also should be a lot of understanding of the fact that it's going to take a lot more time for the evolution that we're really targeting for. So there are great efforts that are being made. There are things that are being done. There are things that are moving, I believe, in the right direction compared to 50 years ago. And I really salute all those women, those who are patient enough to realize that 50 years compared to hundreds of years just doesn't match. And eventually we're going to get there. But if we could be more patient, and that's why I've respected all of you women who decided to come here to get an education, or those who decided to join the workforce, so those, regardless of what it is that they're doing. But I am, I would, I would say that I'm pretty confident that there are among all of those a good amount of women who know that 50 years isn't enough, and then there's still a lot more work to do, and they have decided to do what it takes. They are doing the work that's necessary.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. But I would love to hear personally from you. How do you think, how have you seen the evolution of women's rights in different part of the world? I mean, have you seen a specific change? What would you say? What was not done before, and what has been done now? I mean, since all of these years, what changes have you seen?
It's hard for me to speak to that with authority, as I cannot relate for obvious reasons. But what I've seen is there were a lot of women that contributed to major events in the past. I can only speak for the civil rights movement of 1960s America. And there were a lot of women, and the most prominent in my perspective, would be Mrs. King, Coretta Scott King, Dr. King's wife, who really advocated to further her husband's legacy, and she was ultimately responsible for founding the King Center. She was responsible for implementing Martin Luther King Day. So I believe there is human rights being women's rights. I believe that's how it intersects, to see that there's a lady who advocates for human rights but was also a woman. But as far as I'm concerned, it's what I've seen and not what I've experienced. So the question is slightly difficult to answer. I don't know if Chris probably has something to weigh in.
Yes, I will agree with what he said. It's hard for us to tell you guys that we've experienced that. We've seen it happening, and that's for sure. For example, I will say the prime minister, the former prime minister of Germany, Angela Merkel. She's a great example of women having today that power that they didn't have years and many centuries ago. And also our dearest country, Democratic Republic, we have now the prime minister, she's a lady, Judith Suminga. Today now we've seen that women have a voice. They have they can go and search for power. That's what, yes, I can add to what he said.
I know among our panelists we have our dear Aizada, who is from Pakistan. Uh,
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan. Okay. Could you please tell us, how have you seen the evolution of women's rights in your country? Or maybe in the town in your country? Yes.
Um, I think the evolution of women's rights in different parts of the world can be different, but also there are some similarities as well. In Kyrgyzstan specifically, we have long history where, in the very beginnings, there were women were as deities, like gods. They were women before. We are Islamic country, and before Kyrgyzstan became Islamic, their gods were they were women, so they were appreciated, and the nature itself was also called like Mother Nature, and everyone would appreciate that nature gives our food, nature gives bread and everything. So that was the position of the woman in Kyrgyzstan. But over the centuries, with evolution of like patriarchy and other systems, women were become more like domestic, that they have to bear children and take care of the household and all this stuff. So I think in that regard it's pretty similar to other countries as well. However, currently we have issues such as domestic violence and sexual violence, and many people are speaking out up about these issues. But in Soviet Union, we were also part of Soviet Union, and at that time, Soviet Union would say that there's equality for everyone, including women and men. But in reality, it wasn't such a case. Even though women were given rights to vote, for education, and other political and social rights, however, at the same time, they were expected, in addition to that, to also take care of their family, to take care of their close ones, and also to do everything that is expected of women. So it was extra load for women. So I think in that regard, it's also similar to other countries too.
Merita.
So I will say that I will really kind of talk about an historic aspect. So I'm Bemba and Runes. So normally, culturally, originally, the woman has the power. And I will say that back in the days, yes, women were like powerful warriors. They were like how can I say that? I remember sometimes hearing my mother and her sister talking, and you can really feel this empowerment even when they talk, They're really into leadership and they're really into developing, like that's women they can be more than just a stay at home moms. I think that's like a woman is is like water, right? So they really kind of shared that example to me and even my father. So he always been driven by like I would say the will to see women take their role into the world, right? So I always seen him like inviting me to become, just more than like a wife to my husband. And actually, I will say that also culturally can be different. That's why I wanted to bring that up. So there is also I would say the little 1%, where you can see that yes, truly in history we had those moments, where women couldn't speak for themselves, right? That's big moments that even right now we're recovering from, right? But I'm so grateful so that back in the history like of Africa, we can see those those empire. That's the way you pronounce it, right? Yeah, empire where like women were leaders. So yeah.
It's a good thing that you bring out what is considered to be domestic duties. So, 5 years ago, I actually read a memoir by Mrs. King, Dr. King's wife, Coretta Scott King. For those that are interested, the title of the book is My Life, My Love, My Legacy. So, in the book, she was telling the story of how Dr. King wanted her to be a stay at home mom. And there were at times joking, and Dr. King would joke that he was called by God and she wasn't, and things like that. So I believe that in the 1960s, or the late 1950s for that matter, I believe that um, African Americans and Africans were on the same page in terms of cultural values, wherein it was expected for the woman to stay at home and things like that. But I guess ultimately she proved them wrong because she is responsible um, for carrying on Dr. King's legacy. It's the way we hear of Dr. King today is because of his wife, not even because of himself, because he passed away before most of the work was done. And it's not just her, it's Malcolm X's wife, Dr. Shabazz, Dr. Betsy Shabazz. She was an educator. And then Medgar Evers' wife. So Medgar Evers was also a civil rights activist. And his wife, whom name I'm forgetting, and Mrs. King and Dr. Shabazz, Malcolm X's wife, they were nicknamed the Three Misses. They were going around the country, the United States, advocating for civil rights and really just shaping public opinion as well as legacy of their husbands. And they did great together, the three of them. So I believe that, and I do not believe that it's a fact. So even in the 1960s, moving forward to the late 1990s, women already had started to hold on to their power. So they were seizing their glory, like I'd like to say.
Thank you so much. You guys have spoken about a lot of evolution in different part of the world, but among all of them, what would you say, or what do you think are the most important milestones in history of women's rights globally? This is an open question. Yes.
I think modern feminism political theory starts in 19th century or like early 18th late 18th century as well, when especially 19th century, when industrial revolution happened in Europe. There were women suffrage movements. So many women who were working at factories, they were paid um, way lower wages than men, so they were going on protests. But it was a very difficult and dangerous time to protest, especially for women, because they were expected to just sit home and take care of their family. However, they had that courage and started protesting. And I think many of the thinkers of that time changed the whole idea of women's movements, of feminism, and what that feminism's foundation should be. And I think they laid the foundation. But then it was continued in 20th century. And I think First World War and Second World War played a huge role, because when men had to go to war, women had to take care of not only women's duties, but also men's duties. They had to work in factories. They had to produce everything for the war. So I think they saw that they could also be empowered. They could also just be good enough without men and take care of the men's duties as well. So after that, they started to push for their rights even more. And I think they started, like all the countries has started to adopt and give voting rights to women. And I think that was also very important in women's evolution of women's rights. And other than that, also I would like to touch upon on how women's rights were established in United Nations. When just United Nations was started in 1945, in United Nations Charter, Eleanor Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's wife, she played a huge role in how to make sure that women's rights are also acknowledged in the United Nations Charter and Human Rights Charter as well. And after that, we now have United Nations Women. We have everything. We have conventions against discrimination of women's rights. And I think all of those were very important milestones that happened in 19th and 20th centuries.
And also,
Thank you so
sorry,
much.
I'm interrupting a lot. It's fascinating what you're talking about because my own mother worked for UN Women when I was younger. Yeah. And to answer that question, second answer to that question, I would say that I don't know about you guys, but I believe the right to education has done wonders because it's for women's education that we have access to all these resources and all this knowledge. And there's actually an African feminist icon. Her name is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She's a Nigerian writer and also contemporary feminist icon. She gave a TED talk. The TED talk, it's on YouTube, by the way. It's titled "We Should All Be Feminists," and she was recounting her stories of her childhood, of when she was growing up in Nigeria and taking a class, and then I believe their teacher assigned something to them. Um, Whoever scored the most on the assignment will be appointed head monitor, a class monitor. Chimamanda outscored everybody, and yet she was not selected as class monitor because the second in line was a boy, and thus he became class monitor. And I don't believe it, it's a fact, I'm sorry. That's what she said herself, that's how she inspired her. That's what inspired her to pursue the ideals of feminism, that everybody, whether man or woman, has at least the intellectual faculty to pursue whatever it is they want to pursue.
So if I got it right, education will be for you the greatest milestone we have achieved.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely.
And it's good that we're speaking about the UN right now because there's an Iraqi lady, her name is Zainab Salbi. She founded Women for Women International. It's a non-profit organization. My mother worked for them, by the way.
I work for them too. Long
Oh,
time ago.
yeah, yeah. My mother was country director of Women for Women International in Bukavu, DR Congo, until 2 years ago. So yeah, now back to the story. Zainab was able to do that because she was educated. She was born and raised in Iraq. She came here as a young lady. And she enrolled at George Mason University, close to Washington, D.C. And upon graduation, she started working in multiple organizations, and then eventually, I believe in the early 1990s, that's when she founded Women for Women International. You may correct me on that if I'm not mistaken. But just see that it was education that ultimately allowed her to create something that had such massive impact, because Women for Women International has education programs, recovering programs. They literally offer redemption to women that were victims of war. They have financial literacy programs, work initiate. They give women tools to be able to succeed in the workplace, and that requires education. And in my mind, sorry, I'll die on this hill. I believe that education has been beneficial to everybody, and especially for women in the pursuit of feminist ideology over the past couple of centuries or years or whatever.
Very true. Very true. Yes,
If you don't
please.
mind me adding also, I second him. Education, to me, it's the biggest one. Because if you look back in the old times, even when women, young girls were being educated, you will see always a discrimination, like a separation. Boys had tendency to be more educated, and women some level you finish primary, but then if the father, let's talk back in Africa, where you have a parent, a father who cannot afford school fees for all the kids, he will, they had tendency of sending the boys, and then the girl will be staying home, helping your mom, doing the chores. So it was automatically like that. The boy had to be educated and the woman had to stay home. So education, when you see it with all those movement, really, like it's only in 2010 that UN Women was established. Yeah, not long time really, So, and it's a really big milestone, and that UN Women is like encompasses everything. It's just like swallowing everything, all those movements, like covering them. It's like an umbrella for all those movements. For to just to have women go forward. And education is a really a powerful tool. When you educate a woman, like they say in an African saying, when you educate a woman, you educate an entire nation. So I think education is to me it's the biggest also milestone when you put a woman to know things, to express herself through variety of fields. You always find something that she can do. Not that we are not saying that she does it better than man. Again, like I said, I am not you excuse me, I'm not really a feminist. So yeah, but I believe in women rights. I
Yes.
believe in women rights.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that we are like women are better than men. I'm not saying that women are stronger than men, but I'm saying that we are human beings
Yes.
created equal, and we all should have the same opportunity to, like, just to compete. Who is, what are those a competition, who is the better, who's the best, it's not, there's nothing wrong in that. So so that to me, education, when you see a lot of girls, a lot of women are graduating more than men, that's kind of like it's something that's telling you, well, women could have done it long time ago, but they were just being held back. And when they're graduating with high grades. It's not like something like low, no. Because they have something to give. And education empowers a woman. When you have a wife, because I'm married, when you have a wife who is intelligent, who has been educated, as a man, it profits you. It profits you. There's nothing really interesting in having a woman silenced, being silenced in her education wise, or in other field. A woman who is just battled out, down, she gets frustrated. She will not give you, really produce something to you. But when you have a wife who is free to express herself, whether in education, in work, or whatever, the family thrive together. So to me, education is one of the,
And
yeah.
I want to
Thank you so
enforce.
much, Mama Flora. So
Yeah.
sorry. I would love to hear from you, Crispin. What do you think has been the biggest milestone in history of the women's
I,
right?
as Mama Flora said, and my brother here, Isaac, said education. As we say, education is power. And if women have power today, they can accomplish great things. And as Mama Flora said, they were held back in the days. And I've experienced it when I was back home in our classroom. I won't say I was the best student, but the best student were always girls. It's not just in my classroom, but in the entire school. It was always girls. That means girls, they have that thing in them that they can strive for greatness. Yes, and that's my input on that.
Thank you so much. I have a follow-up question concerning women's rights evolution. I would love to stick on Congo for the moment, since most of our panelists are from Congo. Do you think there's a change in our country as well in concerning women's rights and how they've been portrayed in our society, or maybe it's a different kind of I mean, people are maybe undermining them in another form of way, or do you think things have changed? Women can go to school as they want and become whoever they want, regardless of the position. or when it comes to certain position, maybe in politics, then they are second guesses. People are, you know, they are not really sure if they want to give them that position or not.
I can start. Um, when I look at Congo, to me, I would say women rights, uh, women have a voice. Yeah, to me, when I look back and I'm thinking, compare like just in Africa, or only in Africa, how many women have been presidents? If you look at back in America here, none yet. We have no women. Look at all the women who tried, how they've been put back. But in Africa, you have women who've been presidents, and it's amazing. A continent that's called a third world country, third world, but women have, they can hold that high position, and I think that's amazing. I think we have tendency of giving a wrong story of Africa or Congo. You mentioned Ngozi Chimamanda. She's my favorite, and she always talk about that theory of wrong story, half story, single story of Africa, or but I think Africa is thriving when it comes to women. And it depends also because Africa is made of, you have tribes, you have different regions, different, and women are thriving. To me, I think my mom raised us by herself, and she could, any business she wanted to, she was doing. No one could, stop her. She had the opportunity. She was doing anything just to, take care of her kids. She was free to do things. And I look at Congo. How many women, girls are graduating university? So many. So many. Some of them are doing different fields. It just that we need just to teach maybe the young girls because you don't see many women going into the field of maybe like where there's a technology. Not many of them are going there. Maybe because there's a stereotype or maybe a wrong perception of if I do engineering. If I do, no man will want to marry me. If I do maybe if I go into technical they're gonna say I'm a tomboy. If I do into mechanics, they're gonna maybe we need just to change the narrative, maybe explain to girls that you can do that also, or maybe also the culture can be also open a space, for our parents also, because not many parents when they hear the girl want to do mechanics, they're like, okay, what is this, they expect you to be doctor, they expect you to be, in politics, so but I still think that women in Congo are the thriving, and there's a lot of movement, women rights movement in Congo. Like you mentioned, Women for Women International. I started with them when I was in university. Started volunteering there, and I've been with them, and I've seen how they have marked in Congo. In the east part of Congo when the war started, they did a huge work there, a lot of work there. Women who are victims of war, of rape, but how those women were able to stand up and keep on going and working. How it was Women for Women International, and that's, I think women have a lot of voices in Africa. To me, compare maybe to other regions, I would say in Congo, women are thriving. If they want also again to go higher, they can do it, and no one will stop them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mama Flora, for your perspective. Anyone else?
So I will say also accordingly to what Mama Flora said. So yes, I think that it's really depending on now as women, really we need to have that vision of what we want to become, of what actually we want the country to become, because I think it's a question of asking to yourself, what can I do to change the world. So it's not really a question that I will say is reinforced sometime, because you often think about like I don't know, please correct me if it's a mistake, but I think that we often think about what we like what we could bring something to us instead of thinking about what can bring something to the community. So it's really, I would say, a question of culture and mind shift. So I think that the barrier that we have now is really about you knowing that your power, you have the power of life, and your power can be not just only beneficial to you, but actually the benefits will be actually the results of you helping first others. So in a certain way, I would say that I come from from the city, but even when I go to the rural side of the country, I can see that mothers are really striving, not really striving, but are really into getting their girl to college, getting their girl to to higher education, and they put a point into like education, but it's just really the girl who actually needs to like really understand that she can do it. So that's my perspective.
Thank you so much. Crispin, do you have any?
So I just had a thought
Mm-hmm.
question.
Yes.
So, do you think the thing that undermine it is it because women don't have a role model? For example, somebody who has been in a higher position, for example. Is it because they don't have it, or is it because of just the narrative that has been spoken all over the world? Just a question for women.
Am I allowed to respond as well?
Go ahead.
uh, I I think especially in Congo,
Yeah.
there's we have lack of role models sometimes a lot, because I mean there's some families who has, you see some families where they for centuries they've been around people who made a lot of achievement. Some have mothers who are in politics, but it's not everywhere. If you have to take the entire country, and you just find out that it's maybe 3% out of 100 that have that mindset of, okay, I can do this because I've seen my mother do it. But the rest of the population just live day by day. Sorry, they live day by day. They only dream of, okay, let me get food, let me I will get married, somebody will marry me, and that's it. All right. Most of us, I mean, I would say us, do not really think of, oh, I want to go in higher education because there's the amount of it, there's the cost of the education. Now, everybody can afford it. It might be crazy for us sitting here in the US, but it's crazy how maybe 100 is something so difficult to get in some places in Africa, especially in Congo. So nobody, it's not everybody who thinks about, okay, I just want to get some help. A man will marry me, together we'll try to have enough money to make it to life. And then maybe our children will be able to achieve something. But even if they don't, they will be able to eat every day. They will be able to do this. And if somebody else will come and marry them as well. And then the cycle continues. So for me, is lack of role models, lack of opportunities, lack of equal chances, I would say, because there's a lot of differences quand on parle de l'économie. Economical wise, there's a lot of differences. So it's difficult for some people to dream, too big. So they just dream in a little box, So yeah, that's what I would say. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I would say it's 50-50 to me. To me, it's 50-50. Because if you look at the Congolese government, when you look at when they have like those Senate meetings or Parliament meeting, you see women in there. There are a couple of women there, but like she said, role model. Most of them they reach that level of being in the Senate or Parliament, but they just sit.
Yes.
They don't strive to be a role model to the young girls who are watching them on TV. They don't single themselves out, to have, it's only until we had Judith Sumina that a lot of girls started to say, wow, I can do it, I can be there. And I'm gonna be honest, she also even inspired me, you know. She inspired my husband. Sometimes tells me, "Oh, Judith Sumina, Judith Sumina." She inspired me. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah. We don't have to limit ourselves to just being in the Senate or in the Parliament there, and then we just being, invisible. There are women in government, in Congolese government, but they are just being invisible. I don't know what if their purposes. I don't know what their goals are. But you will see them when it comes to now to elections when they do that numbers 551 vote for me. That's the only moment when they are seen. But after that they disappear. So I don't know what goes on beyond that. If they are being crushed, I don't know. I don't know if they're just not dreaming high enough. I don't know. So, but it's what I see in the Congolese community or as a country, in a whole. Even it's not only politics. It's also even you can see in everywhere, in every. My name is this. I'm doing this movement. I'm doing this. But still, even when they do that, the camera is not much on them or either. So I say it's a both. Some of them don't have really, they don't. There's no role model, and some of them they are not reaching the opportunity which they can create. I think there's opportunity in Congo for women to go up, because it's not the same as here. Here there is a hard time for a woman to be president. Even women themselves do not want to vote for a woman because they still like, "Ah, is she capable?" But in Congo or in Africa, when it's a woman, we think it's a mother. She is going to lead us. It's a mother. I think it's the mindset also. It's different. So I think it's both. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry to all public. I just forgot that you guys were there. We are just talking about the achievement of women over the years. We're talking about the biggest milestone of women. And I want to switch to another question. I'm so sorry to our panelists. That's why you guys are panelists. Is to respond to question. I will go a little bit out of our list of question because I have a question we came to my mind, and then we'll switch to our poll, an interactive audience poll for 5 minutes. And right after that, we'll go to personal testimonies where we'll get to know you a little bit better. So don't be ashamed, all right? Don't be shy. Okay. My question is, do you guys think that we have lost track on the
Of
way
what?
to women's rights? Do you think that the first goal, Isaiah just spoke about those women who died in factories so that we can be here today, you know, those women who rose and stood when men were going to war, they were the one working. They did fight so that us can, we can stand for our rights as they did in their time. Do you think we have lost track? Do you think it's going everywhere now? Some people are just doing it for fun. Feminism in a way a little bit extreme. Do you think we have lost track, Crispin? Yeah, Isaac.
Okay, the question was, have we lost track of the values we once pursued? It depends on how you want to say it. It depends on how you want to say it. Now, obviously, there are those kind of feminists that can be slightly radical in their speeches, and then they are very much responsible for all the friction that is rising online, because all of you, for sure know that social media isn't reflective of reality. However, those who are chronically online tend to believe that social media is true, and thus they become violent, they become radical, and then they tend to believe that a few words from a speech taken out of context is the reality of the whole purpose of the movement. It's not just like that. So I believe the issue has risen in social media platforms where a lot of things have been taken out of context, and then with social media, it's very easy to it's very easy to mislead people, and it's also very easy to antagonize one another, because if somebody were to insult me to my face, they might think twice because they'll be afraid I'll punch them or something. However, on social media, I might just make a single misstep or one misplaced comment, and then it's it's open season on me. Well, it's yeah. So it's just like that. So I believe that social media, one of the negative consequences, it's as permitted antagonism and misleading and things like that. But besides that, I believe that those that are more conservative in conservative and modest in their advocacy of human rights, of women rights, are those that I definitely believe that are worth following. Secretary Clinton, by the way, in 1996, she wrote a book titled "It Takes a Village" of her stories of how she went to Africa, by the way. She traveled throughout Africa, multiple African countries, and then she wrote a village. And she wrote the story. She wrote a book titled "It Takes a Village," and then she was comparing she was comparing education for women and education for here, and then she realized that we were also very far back then. Okay, so I'm going out of context a bit, but when you look at her life, you look at everything she's accomplished, and the speeches that she make are reflective of the very purpose of the ideology, as opposed to somebody who would come on social media and just say things for the sake of just saying them, or just write a song for lyrics that are melodious, and then somebody might listen to it and then take it out of context. So it's I believe those that are going out of context, those that are very destructive, are outliers, and then those that are not, those that are displeased with the outliers tend to generalize it, but it's not so much of an issue than we tend to believe that it is.
Anyone else has something to add to that?
So, just according to what you say, Isaac, it's just reminding me of myself. Actually, I will say that growing up, um, I always been into a position where my parent had big dreams upon myself, right? But I never really understood them, right? I never really understood them until the time that I understand that actually I saw representation, if I can say it like that. So I saw women like me, like in the positions that could be mine, So when I was little, I wasn't really exposed. Like I was always inside, right? So always watching the TV, always watching the TV and seeing, like, I would say, a woman falling in love. So it was really the dream, like finding that man that will, like the rich guy, that will provide to everything. So in a certain way, I was like, my parents want me to become a great woman, but actually I want to become a great wife. But actually, it's really coming here really opens my mind, and in a certain way, I've been blessed by being around also, women that were reminding me that my name, like, yes, that will be the name of my husband, but also, like, I should be happy to, like, for people to just see me as myself, right? To actually become my true self, because we're always growing. So I have a father that's also always reminding me, that I am as human as he is, So it's really something that I understood with the time. So social media is a good thing, like TV is a good thing, but it's not the reality, right? So really, the encouragement that I have is go out there, like as a young woman. I don't know everything, but what is for sure is that you're not learning everything on social media. It can be difficult actually to stand up and go out. It's scary, right? But it's an experience. it's experience that you take, when you go out there, and you will never be someone else. We always dream sometimes, of being, like in someone else's shoes. But I think that's really what helped me is that I can be a person by myself. So that's really something that helped me. So yeah.
I said that. Just for our public, we are asking the question, do you think we have lost track on the journey to women's rights?
I think it's a very important question to ask because in very important ideas were also spoken, such as that on social media, for example, ideas of feminism or women's rights, they become more radicalized and because of different opinions. But I think it only will go off track when we stop fighting for women's rights, when we forget the importance of women's rights and think that everything is okay. However, should all be thankful to the state that we have currently, like compared to 100 years ago, 200 years ago. But at the same time, I think that by demonizing the idea of feminism, saying like, oh, it's become too radical, we shouldn't think that like women think they're better than men. They're fighting for like coming up with ridiculous slogans or doing different protest things. So I think those who hold power, especially in like positions of power and government positions, who want to push the agenda of silencing women, they benefit from demonizing ideas of women's rights, saying that it's become too radical, that it's like no more rational. So we shouldn't follow this. But at the same time, they want to divert attention from real issues. And by saying that, oh, they're just radical people who go on like crazy protests. But we should look at the foundational problems we still keep having, such as domestic violence or lack of education for some communities, for women especially, or discrimination in wages, which is still happening. We think that we are in modern society, but we should face those problems and think that keep pushing for women's rights, and it's up to every single of us to remember that idea and keep pushing for it and keep fighting for it. Only that way we can keep it on track, not off track.
And it's good that you
Thank
bring
you.
up education because I was about to say earlier that the most radical groups, like the Taliban, for instance, they are fiercely against women's education. Um, they would go in schools in countries that are war torn, and then they would invade schools to prevent girls from getting an education. They are against girls' education because ultimately they know that it's only education, it's only awareness that will be able to prevent such barbarism. And it comes back to the argument that people that tend to take social media for reality, well, they don't strive hard enough to be educated in the things that matter. Because if they did, then we wouldn't have all this mess in the first place.
If I can add. Your question was if we think we lost track. I would say I'm sorry. I'm just probably gonna disappoint so many of you. I think we have. Yeah, this is my side. I think we have, because if you look at feminism when it started, it was all about women's rights. But today, when you look on, you go online and you just type the word feminism, it brings you all type of layers of feminism. Liberal feminism, radical feminism, this feminism. I think it is those divisions of feminism, type of feminism, that brought a lot of conflicts, whether it is in conversations, whether it is in interacting in societies. I think it's those having those different group of type of feminism that's making us, it's we're losing the track, the purpose of what women's right is all about. It's never been about fighting men, because if you look at radical feminism, the definition of it, it is to reorganize society. It's not about really just my right, no. It's about like men, I coming fast to your face like this, and I'm a mother. I have girls, and I have a boy. I wouldn't want my boy to be married to a woman who stand up to his face and point his finger to, disrespecting her or putting him down. The same thing we don't want women to have, like to be put down. We shouldn't be also allowed to do it to men. It's contradictory. So we want to reverse roles. You know, we're not saying that all men are above us. No, nobody, nowhere it has been said that. It's just the way the society was constructed, you know but there is a way where we can be liberal feminism in saying that we want our right without going like war to war. I think that's, like I said, those division, different part, group of feminism type of, that's the one that making the movement lose its track. And people are fighting, what is it, on social media. Because of that, you have someone, or a woman who is a radical feminist with someone who is just a liberal feminist. They're fighting each other. Oh, you don't know what you're talking, because the ideas are different, and I think we need to look back, to remember, to go back to what was the women fighting about. It was never to have the husbands, because most of those feminist women, they were married too. Most of them who died, who fought for they were married women. It was never against the husband. It was never. It was about, we want to have a place. When the men went to war, we gave the example. They say, let the country need to run. They're all at war. The country's gonna die. They're gonna come back. They're not gonna have any food production, nothing. So let's go help them. And when they will go, when they help the country, they help the country to run. And then when the men came back to take the position. That's what they start feeling. Oh, I can also contribute. No, I want to have a place too. That was the fight. The original fight is, I want to have a place. We can work together, side to side. You are doing your job, I'm doing my job. Today we have that. My problem as a woman is about the radical feminism. That's where I can never agree with that. I have daughters, I have sons. I can never agree to that. So I think that's what making us lose track. And we need to, as women, even the UN women, they need to revise all these things. Those separate all those different layers of feminism is breaking society, because it's about, the radical feminism is about rebellion. That's to me. It's about rebellion, rebelling against authority. They can stand up against the president. Like you have in France, where women are protesting bare chested. What is that? I'm sorry, even if you want your message to go through, do you have to walk on the street bare chested? Women, grown full women in front of children? To me, I think we are losing track when we do things like that. So there's a way we can have our message go across as women to defend our right without going, overboard or being extremist. We are saying Hamas are extremists, but women too, some of them are becoming extremists. So we need to, speak the truth. Some women are becoming extremists. It's about like having power, domination. It's, we need to look back into that. So.
Christian, do you have anything to say?
No, she said it all.
You said it all. Yes. I would love to come back to what Isaac said in the beginning. Women's rights are human rights. And that's why, personally, I believe in human rights more than anything else. Because we are all human at the end of the day. You say, when, as Maman Flora just said, when we radicalize ourselves and say, okay, I'm fighting for women's rights, make sure that you still remember that you are human. And if you're fighting for human rights, you don't want the person that is in front of you to be, undermined because of you, because of what you're doing. All right? You want to make sure that there's equality. You want to make sure that there's equal respect. If I want my right, I want him as well to keep his right. All right? Because at the moment I want to be above him, I'm doing the same thing he has been doing to me maybe for many years. And maybe the role will be, reversed, but what's the point of it if we are still going back to the beginning? And maybe it's true that the roles will be inverse. It will be women above men, but one day they will rise up and then say, "Oh, men's right now." So we want to keep that in mind. Humans' right before everything. All right. We'll have interactive audience poll. Please, can you look at your phones and just respond to the few questions? You can go to our page. The link has been pasted there. But at the same time, just because I'll give it maybe 2 minutes, and then we'll go to testimonies and personal stories. That's my favorite part. I can't wait. Up to now, we've been talking facts, a lot of facts. We want to hear our heart, you guys' hearts talking. All right, let's do it. Um, yes. Do you guys can you guys access it? No, right? Okay. Okay. Can we have the link sent to the panelists, s'il vous plaît? Thank you, guys. And also to our dear public. Or it can be posted as a. All right. The poll. Yeah. Just a second. The link will be sent to you guys. I just sent it. Yeah. All right. 2 more minutes, maybe. Let's do it. I'm receiving some S's. I'm still receiving S's from people. Okay. 1 minute. We have the result. Okay. We have the result of the poll, and based on that, we'll just comment a little bit on it, and then we'll move on to personal stories. The question was, what is the biggest challenge for women today? And the options were safety and security, health and well-being, political participation, and education. And 60%, 66% of people said safety and security. 16% said well-being, health and well-being. 16% as well said political participation. I'll move on to the second question. It was, what resources or support do women needs most to overcome these challenges? The first one was mentorship and networking, financial support and funding, legal protection and advocacy, and last, educational opportunities. We have equal answers, is 25% for all those answers. The last question were, do you believe societal perspective, sorry, perceptions of women have improved in the past decade? And we have a 50-50 of yes, significantly, and yes, but slowly. Anyone want to comment on that? What do you think of what were said? Especially, I'm curious to know, what do you think people choose safety and security? Is it accurate in today's world?
I chose that answer because of my personal circumstances in Central Asia, where I'm from, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan and other countries. Unfortunately, safety and security problems were very dominant currently, and we had some very huge cases where women were murdered by their husbands, and it was all over social media, and everyone was discussing it. Sometimes we have this tradition, which is now criminalized, about kidnapping brides. So if a bride, if a girl or like young woman doesn't want to get married, a guy, they can kidnap the girl and like get married forcefully. So, but it was tradition was because when their parents didn't agree, that's what they did. But it should have been done with the agreement and consent of the woman. However, they started doing it without consent of a woman and just kidnapping them on the streets and like forcing them to marriage, because otherwise it would be a shame for the family if they didn't get married. So because of that, multiple cases happened, and after they got married, the husband got jealous. Even if the woman wanted to divorce, they wouldn't let them go and just murder them, like in the family. And such cases happening more and more in Kyrgyzstan, in Kazakhstan. And sometimes they say that educated people don't do that kind of crimes. But Ministry of Economics in Kazakhstan, ex-minister, he murdered his wife in the restaurant. He had his like cabin to themselves, and he just murdered his wife there because she didn't listen to him. And he got mad, and no one actually paid attention outside. So she laid there for a night, and she just died because no one helped her. So these kind of cases were just bringing everyone's attention that even in modern times, women in Central Asia, and I'm sure like there are some similar cases in other countries too, that they have to worry about their own security, that they can be safe on the streets, they can be safe in their families, because their husbands and other families, they're their close ones, right? But even in those situations, they can feel secure. That's why I felt that currently, especially in my region, it's one of the most important problems. And about the solutions, I think legal protection and advocacy is one of the most important ones, but also about educating both women and both girls and boys when they are kids from in the family, because upbringing is one of the most important things that shape us, our identity, right? And it's true not only for girls but also for boys. How mothers, they bring up their kids and like what kind of values they teach them. And say, I think for both girls and boys, we have to teach that it's important to respect each other. It's important to have equal rights and respect that boy is not above girl or like not vice versa. So I think it stems from the family foundations, how we teach our kids and like teach each other, or like and it's also very important to have discussions like this where we discuss these kind of problems and bring more awareness to society.
Thank you so much, Azeda. Anyone else want to comment on that? What do you think 66 people said safety and security? Is it accurate in today's world?
Unfortunately, yes. Even though I answered education, but it is true that a lot of women they every day they face danger in different contexts. It's not only like domestic violence; it can be also on campus. Like just about yesterday, I fell on a video on TikTok of kids in middle school in Africa. I don't know which country it was, and it was being filmed. That boy who is beating that girl, and it was being filmed, and in a classroom, kids in uniform. The girl was surrounded with so many boys. The other boys are sitting there just like we have the crowd there, and they're laughing. And that boy was beating that girl, and she tried to defend herself, but she was alone. I felt bad as a mother. I imagine my daughter, I sent her to school to study, but they are in a classroom where there's no teacher. I don't know what was the teacher, what was happening, but the kids were just all over the room, all of alone. And that girl was alone with a lot of boys. And they are sitting there just like we have the crowd sitting there. Some of them are talking to each other, but that boy with his friends, they are bullying that girl and beating her. Seriously, I felt so bad. And I think that's true. Security is really something that we need to address, that we really need to we need to involve, even the government need to, to get involved in that, but mostly parents, just like she said, parents, it all starts at home. The thing we want to see, as a mother, right now as of right now I'm talking to mothers because I'm a mother. I have a boy, so it is my duty, because we like to talk about women's rights a lot, but we fail to address women's responsibility also. It is our responsibility. The same thing that we are shouting, we are screaming against domestic violence, oh, security. But who are the one doing it? There are men who were once boys, little kids, and the mother, I'm not saying that they fail, but how were they brought up? Some of them, I see it around. I see little kids, because boys, they are rough by nature, they like to play rough. Once you see your boy hitting someone, it should have been a laughing matter. It should have been something you like, oh, taking it lightly. When my boy hits his sister or do something that is violent, I sit him down. If I have to police it, I do it. I do it because I don't want it tomorrow he goes to school and he hits someone else, kids, because it gets violent. And then boys are so used to grow up like they can do whatever they want. And many mothers, we are not addressing that. We need to. We have boys at home. We need to sit them up with the sisters. Here, this is your sister. She's a woman. Years later you will grow up. You will get married. This is how we treat a woman. This is how we talk to a woman. This is how you need to. She's your sister. She's gonna be next. In years, one of them will be your wife. No, you will have the. We need to start from childhood. To teach the boys and the girls. Girls, here is your right, but here also is your responsibility. Boys, here are your rights, but here is also your responsibility. So both of them, as parents, as mothers, we need to address that and to do that, including also the father, because it's education. Educating a child is not only a mother of a mother, but also the fathers, because they have boys. It's the boys. They need to say, hey, here is how I treat your mother. Because boys, they copy what they see the father do. If a father is used to hit a mother, the mother, that boy will also do that, the same thing. Because he's used to he replicate
Yeah.
what he sees, and then it's just automatically, there. So we need to, have parents who are so conscious. We have kids, and tomorrow there will be men and women in society, and how we want the society to be. Because today we're fighting about all those rights, but we don't want to fight only, and then we have kids that we are raising. We are not also teaching them, taking them along, to be teaching
Correct.
them, and then tomorrow they be the one again perpetrating those same crime that we are, that
Fighting
we are
against.
fighting against. So
Yes.
we need to, as we are, speaking about our women rights at home, if those who are married, to do the work. We have responsibility to educate our children, boys and girls, not only girls, about cooking. And now it's okay, it's a good thing to teach you. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I teach her kitchen, but I also teach her at school. You need to be bright, you need to do this, take opportunity, don't be shy, do this. My boy, I tell him, he's only 3, but I tell him, no, you shouldn't be doing that, you should have been talking, roughing your sister. No, it's our duty, our responsibility. Don't all only scream about your right, but let's also scream about our responsibility, because we are not addressing that. We are addressing women's right, women's right, women's right, but we are not addressing also women's responsibility.
Thank you so much, Mama Flora. I could feel that was coming from the deep of your heart. I have a question. I'm so sorry. I know only men can understand men. You know, you said yeah. So I have a question. We are seeing right now, um, I will apologize for the term, um, this, how would I call it? The fact of raping people, it has become a weapon for war. Everywhere there's war, you see those sexual violence happening. I know you guys are men of values, but how, what do you think is behind that? What makes men think that they can go to those extent in order to, I mean, get what they, I don't know what they want to get out of maybe a country. What those why those violence? What do you think those violence happen? Please, um, I'm so curious.
It's complicated to answer because there's no logical explanation for that. I can't even begin to try to fathom what goes on in the mind of a man to be willing to force himself onto another woman. I just can't explain it. Sexual activity is meant to be consensual, and it's pleasurable because it's consensual. I can't imagine why it would be pleasurable if it was forced. So it's, yeah, I can't fathom that. Maybe it's so their environment formed them to be that way. Maybe it was a precedent that was set in whatever discussions that they were having among them, because humans tend to be very adaptable. People tend to be very adaptable. People tend to really follow many people. If a charismatic person in a certain group shows up to say that it's okay to force yourself onto a woman, and then if everybody else out of devotion for that leader may also believe that it's okay and they go on doing that, but it doesn't mean that they're being rewarded internally in any way. So my uneducated guess is that it's probably just society conditioning in their hearts.
I'm not a man, but can I try
Mhm.
to answer to that?
Yes.
I really think that it's a question of mindset. And in a certain way, you say the weapon, right? So I think that those men, when they go to war, they want to destroy. So it's a really question of destroying the person deep inside. It's the kind of action when you do it, it stays in a certain way forever. even after you forgive the person, right? But it's the trace that you like leave to the person, for their entire life. And I think it's the worst thing that you can admit to a human being, like actually it's really a question of humiliation. So I think that when they do that, they don't just do that just to, but they really want the person to feel shameful. So it's really, coming from a place of hatred. So actually, I think that, as Mama Flora said here, it's really a question of education, right? So I think that we can also lose track, even in war, in the perspective of war, right? So we are fighting for something. We are fighting maybe to have more resources, right? But are we fighting humans being like as themselves, right? It's really, I think, a question of knowing that to be strong, you don't need to actually erase someone else's humanity. You don't need to be, a murderer or like, a rapist. Is it rapist? Yes. So something that I want to do, I'm not a man, but as a woman, I think that the definition of strength is when you can, use your strength to protect. So strength has really for me a meaning of, caring at the same time. So when you are there and you want to bully other people, you want to, like make other people like, how can I say that, just it's really a question of motivation. What do you have deep inside?
Thank you so much,
If I
Marita.
can add
Sure.
onto that, the War of Congo, when it started, there was a journalist who went to the forest to meet with those rebel, some of them M23 and other rebels who went into villages and destroyed and raped the women. It was a time where really when the rape started during the war, and then he started to interview those soldiers, those rebels, asking them, look at all that you've done. You've raped women, and some of you didn't even rape them physically, but you didn't rape them by sleeping with them, but you took elements like sticks and stuff. Why would you do things like that? And some of them say, well, when we go to, they start to explain, maybe just to answer, but it's not to excuse, but I'm just explaining what I heard them say, some of them. Some of them say that it's just to prove our superiority. When we come into an area and we want to take over, we have to rape the women. We have to rape the women because raping a woman is a sign of humiliation. We're humiliating the men that we went with the women and we destroyed the women, and those men have tendency of running away. So we want to. The purpose is to destroy them so that the men can leave, and when the women remains, we take over the village. So it was the explanation. Some of them say it's because when to go to this war, I went to see my do witchcraft, some kind of things, and they told me that I have to remain strong so that no bullet can cross me. I have to rape these many women. So they start to explain different reasons why they are doing it, but behind it you see that when there is war, it's evil. War is evil. War is about destruction. So they have to destroy. Some of them maybe they even they take drugs before they go to those things to fight, and under the effect of of opium, and they destroy. They don't even know that they're doing it. Some of them don't even know, but some of them are conscious. So the purpose of war is to destroy. Any weapon is going to be used is good for them, and if rape is also good for them. So that's what they do it. That's why when we heard about those raping, the whole entire world was like, whoa, what, why, you know, and did destroy those area. You see how it became empty. How many women were killing themselves, some women killing themselves, some women like they were like lifeless. Because when you destroy a village, you take over, you have, they leave. After they leave, they can't remain anymore there. They leave, it becomes empty, you take the land. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Mama Flora. I know Isaiah has something to add, but at the same time, because we are running out of time, we have an important activity to do. It's open letters. All right, we want to do it. It's just we take those papers because yeah, it's good. We had those discussion, but we want to leave a legacy. I believe that dreams become true. All right, what we expect can become a reality. So we have those papers. Please feel free to grab one and pass it around with pen. And you will write as short as it would be, an open letter to your future daughters, maybe your future daughters, maybe to your future wife. What you are expecting the world will be when she will be here. You know, just in few moments, let's have those written. And you know what? I will read some of them, and I want the world, the entire world, to remember what you guys have written on those pages. And I'll give the mic in the meantime to Aizada, who wanted to add something on what we're saying. And please, I want the papers to be distributed to the public as well. We want to have your thoughts, guys.
To the letter, right?
For the letter? Oh, no, no. You just write anything to the future of what you're hoping for the world, for the women's. Anything. So whoever you want. Maybe it can be a woman. It can be your future daughter. No matter who's that. Just write something.
I actually wrote a poem for my yet unborn daughter. It's
So we want to read that. Aizada, please go ahead. You wanted to add something
Oh yeah.
on the reason behind all those violence.
Uh, I think that many ideas were already mentioned, and on top of that, it's yes, as we were mentioning that they want to show their power and also like destroy, and I agree with that. And I think it's also act of dominance, like domination and showing their power, and also from ancient times, every time there was a war, that was the regular occurrence because women were raped and women were considered as trophies. So, women from the opposing sides, if you take as many women and children to your side, and even children, they were raised to be their warriors in the future, right? And women would be there, bear their children. So, it shows that how women were treated in general in history, that as being treated as objects, not as human beings, as having their own autonomy, but more like an object, more like something different. And that's the idea that Simone de Beauvoir would mention. She said that she wrote a very huge book called The Second Sex, and I'm still reading it. It's like has so many pages. I haven't finished that yet, but it brings up fundamental history of how women were treated from the very beginning of time, when we had those societies. So she says that women were accepted by men as something different. They couldn't understand women. And when a person doesn't understand something, they either start to idolize them or demonize them. So that's the was the position of the women. They were either goddesses or they were witches who had to be hunted. And I think when men had that power, and in many countries they still hold the dominative power. And when women accept their narratives, that's when we become silenced, and that's when we give up that power. But when we reclaim the power and fight for our rights, for when we claim that women and men all should be equal, and we have equal power to uh, rational capacity, to intellectual capacity, because there are many philosophers that we respect, such as Aristotle or Immanuel Kant. But when you start looking deeper at how they thought of the woman, I get disappointed
Yes.
because Aristotle would think that women should be staying at home. They are lack that intellectual capacity. Immanuel Kant, who proposes rationality for human beings, he says that women are not capable of rational thought. And Friedrich Nietzsche, he also thinks that women are just not intellectual beings who are very super emotional.
Which is
So,
sad.
which is very sad because I want to, and I read their philosophical books and I rationalize them. I understand it, right? But when they themselves, as authors, um, deprive me of that right, I feel very bad. And I think as a growing up, being a boy or girl, we don't differentiate those things. We don't think that we are women, that we are girls, that we don't have the rights. I think we only get understanding of those things, of the reality, when we grow up and become part of the
That's
society.
true.
And that's Simone de Beauvoir was saying in her book when she was saying that woman is not born, she becomes a woman.
Yes.
And society makes her a woman. In her understanding that the second sex.
Yeah.
So I think having discussions like this, it's very important to say that we all have equal intellectual capacity. We all have equal opportunities and should have equal opportunities to grow and become and achieve that our purposes in lives.
It's good
Thank
that
you
you've
so
named
much.
philosophy. Sorry to interrupt, but I believe this is relevant. Frederick Nietzsche, yeah, you get the picture. Towards the hands of his life, he actually became more open in thought. And there is this famous quote by him. He said, and I quote, "Stupidity in a woman is unfeminine." So he started to seeing in a way that was more rational. And Simone de Beauvoir's longtime partner, Jean-Paul Sartre, he encouraged her. He encouraged her in many of her endeavors. And also, the thing that you say about the thing Simone de Beauvoir said about when you cannot make sense of a woman, you either uh, reduce her to something in existence or you put her on a pedestal. And Simone de Beauvoir, she wrote a novel. It's called Inseparable. It tells the story of, long story short, it tells the stories of two girls who grow to be women. One of them who was pretty rebellious, who didn't adhere to the traditional standards of womanhood back then, of staying at home and just taking care of the children. She actually went to get an education and grew up to be everything society would have wanted for a man. However, she was rejected by her in-laws because she was deemed too intelligent and thus incapable of fulfilling her womanly duties. So yes, but I believe Jean-Paul Sartre and Frederick Nietzsche, they had some sense toward the end.
Thank you for adding that. We won't be maybe able to read all the letters, but I would love to have one man and one of our women here read their two letters who will be considered as a call to action for all the people that will be are watching us, and then we'll end with a beautiful poem from um, Moriane Malouba, and yeah, that will be it for tonight. Yes, yes. Can you please? Yes.
Just because I have this program where I always write letters to daughters around the world, and I always title them "Letter to My Daughters." This is what I'm saying to all the daughters, all the women out there. Stay strong and pretty with whatever you are going through. These are troubled times, but let not your problems, fears, and stress crumple the petals of your blooming beauty. This is what I can tell you.
Thank you so much. Can we give it a round of applause? That was beautiful. That was beautiful. So, among our men, who's going?
Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah,
Listen, you have a letter actually. So let's read it.
So my letter is letter from Crispin to the world. Women are humans, not things or tools. They are our significant other. They bring us joy, happiness, and peace. Women should be respected for their great value and be considered worthy to be part of our community and better the world, as it says, educating a woman is educating a nation.
Thank you. Wow, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. It's on that note, guys, that we are thanking you. Thank you for your time. And we hope this discussion, as imperfect as it was, um, uh, has bring a little bit more to your perspective, that you are considering women today as humans, that women's rights are human rights. All right, and we'll have time. I will definitely have those panelists again to talk about their personal stories. I haven't forget about that. We want to know more about Mama Flora, about Marita. We want to know more about Crispin, Isaac, Izada. We want to know you guys and all the things that you do. All right. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye. We'll have Maloba Morian to do a poem, and that will be it for us.
Hi, I wrote the poem to my mom and it's in French, so I'm gonna declare it. Maman, femme de caractère, femme autoritaire, femme courageuse, femme travailleuse. Toi qui m'as donné naissance, je garderai dans ma conscience. Toi qui me sers de couverture contre le froid, toi qui me sers de parapluie contre la pluie, toi qui me sers de pain contre la faim, toi qui me sers d'eau contre la soif, et même si je me mettais à te flatter, je ne saurais jamais t'achever. Rien n'est plus important à mes yeux que toi, le lien que nous partageons entre toi et moi. Que nos actions n'occultent pas nos intentions, mais que nos réactions justifient nos appréciations. Que tu portes cette attention, soit toujours pour moi une forte relation. Diligente, élégante, gentille, prompte, plaisante, charmante, intéressante, fascinante. Ces tout réunis ne font pas de toi une meilleure mère, mais ce sont tes efforts fournis qui font de toi cette merveille. Tu as supporté tous mes libies, malgré les conséquences subies. Laisse-moi te dire que tu es magnifique, tu es unique. On ne se consacre pas du temps ensemble, malgré qu'on vit ensemble. À présent, je suis d'accord que j'ai une mère en or. De tous, de tous les bouquins que j'ai eu à lire, de tous les textes que j'ai eu à écrire, je n'ai qu'à ressortir un petit terme. Je t'aime. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moyan. So we have food, we have drink for our panelists. Oh, please, can we have their gift before we leave? Please, please, please. I want our panelists to receive their gift, and then we'll greet and head to the table to enjoy some snacks. I know. So sorry. All right, just this is from our heart. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We appreciate you. It's a little something. Look how beautiful marketing team